We're not supposed to go to papers. We're supposed to go.
And we're starting out with the Vanguard newspaper. That story's out there again. Killings. Troops comb Bayelsa Delta Creeks for militant killer.
Leader,
for militant leader. Demolition of buildings in Okwama continues. Senate Joint Committee holds meeting with service chiefs. Killing of soldiers, inhuman, devilish, IYC. Delta Assembly condemns killings, calls for thorough investigation. CDD asks FG to address deteriorating civil-military relations. Niger Delta host communities condemn killing, warns culprits brought to justice. Remind warring communities of OD sad experience. Urobo youth urge FG to bring killers to book. Well, while we're urging the government to bring the killers to book, information sharing would also help. Go to page 5, you get more details of that story, and that's it from the Vanguard.
Well, if you look at Daily Trust, they're focusing on insecurity as well, but a very interesting aspect of it, news had come out that the NFIU had released the names of some terrorism financiers. But what Daily Trust is reporting this morning says controversy trails leaked list of terrorist financiers. NFIU disowns memo. That's what they are reporting. 4 of 6 indicted BDCs not registered with the CAC, so not registered with the Companies. Is the Companies Act now? Anyways, look at this. Last Rider case already in court, as according to government officials. So which is it? Is the NFIU disowning the list, or is it that these people are already being prosecuted? Which is it? The details are on page 3 of the paper, but they also have a breakdown of terrorism financiers in Nigeria. That's what's on the front page for the infographics. 15 entities identified, plus 9 individuals, and amongst them are BDCs, Bureau de Change operators. That story is right there on the front page of Daily Trust.
Lead story of the Guardian newspaper this morning is about the federal government spending 6 trillion naira subsidy on unavailable electricity in 10 years. What does that mean? Well, the details you'll find on page 6 of the paper, and it details how much was spent on in 2016 on until 2024, until between January and February in 2024. Other details you'll find on the inside pages, page 6 to be precise.
The Nigerian Tribune's the next one, and they have that story about the killing of the soldiers. But just go to the top of the nameplate. Let's pick out the one there that has to do with the judiciary, talking about how much the CJN is going to be earning and the Supreme Court justices per month. If you go to, I think that will be page 8, you get more details. Other judges get review as NAS approves salary increment for the judiciary. That's it from the Tribune.
I'm looking at Daily Times for you now, and Daily Times also has this: salaries allowances for judicial office holders. CJN to collect 5.3 million naira monthly as reps pass new bill. That's the story on the front page there. Other Supreme Court justices each to get 4.2 million naira monthly. Don't forget that before now, this matter of remuneration and, well, I say, welfare had seen the ouster of the Chief Justice when justices of the Supreme Court wrote a letter, which was leaked to the public. I mean, that was a really scandalous time, but it does appear now that, there is some improvement in that respect with the passage of this. Taking a look, and I think this is what the Salaries and Wages Commission and RAMFAC too had tried to effect when they were doing a review. But, people were very upset because they thought this was all about the executive. not knowing that this also included the judiciary, and a non-review could also jeopardize the welfare of judicial officers. But that has now been looked into, and this is what we're seeing. Salaries, allowances for judicial office holders has now been increased. But that's the lead story on the front page of Daily Times. Well, let's not forget the picture, which is also depicting a situation which we'll be looking into within a few minutes. There was a fire in Idumota yesterday in Lagos, and that's Idumota Market, and we'll be talking to the DG of Lasema in a bit about the incidents in Lagos yesterday. Ayo.
Absolutely, Malfoy, but just right quick go through these papers. This Nigerian newspaper has this one on its front page. Crisis worsens as NLC Labour Party fight dirty. Abure, corrupt and inefficient, must go, as according to Labour leadership. It's a show of rascality by Ajero, says Labour Party. That story is on page 4 of the paper this morning. Well, I don't know what you make of that's the headline beside the papers, beside the picture, Neta and Malfoy. London home rent surged to over £2,000 per month. Imagine someone picking up the calculator to do the math. That's the lead story of this Nigeria today.
And the one I have here next is the Leadership newspaper, and this is what they lead with. Post-Petroleum Industry Act. Operators exploiting gaps to under-declare crude output. The details of that story you'll find on page 4, but see the riders. Tinubu's executive orders will enhance implementation. That's according to experts. Warm future of nation's oil sector depends on the PIA. Petroleum Industry Act. That's it from the Leadership.
Well, compare that story with what you're seeing on the front page of Business Day, which is also still focusing in on the petroleum industry. It's interesting. We started this morning with the towers of the NNPC Limited, and 2 papers are focusing on that. Nigeria gets most payouts from Shell. Yeah, Shell. Since 2020, that's the lead story. Nigeria gets most payout from Shell in first since 2020. As the lead story you're seeing on the front page of Business Day. Ayo.
Morning, Malfoy, is from that story that you took on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Talks about controversy trailing leaked list of terrorists, financiers. NFIU disowns memo, 4 of 6 indicted BDCs not registered. You know, what I find interesting about that particular story is that this is not the first time we're hearing names being mentioned. So what is going to happen? So now the list is out. What is going to happen? We hear these announcements. Malcolm, you must have heard quite a fair share in your time as a broadcaster. Nilta, you have heard as well. And many newsmen read these things, and that's all we do, read. And we try to follow up on these things, and then that's it. So what happens next? Now that we know the list of terrorists, financiers, what happens next? Also, we are aware of the fact that quite a number of Nigerians are in one captivity or the other now as a result of banditry and kidnapping and all. And we have also heard some people say they can go and speak with these non-state actors, so to speak, on behalf of the federal government. In other words, what does that mean? We know where these people are. We know who they are. So what is holding us back from protecting, doing the very primary thing that the Constitution asks us to do as a government? That's a poser, and as Malcolm, as you usually say, big question that someone needs to take on head on. That's my take on the front page of the Daily Trust today.
Indeed, just before we round up the papers here, Mark, but that matter about the increment of wages for the judiciary, when news like that goes out, what the average Nigerian will be thinking, what about the minimum wage? Why does it take so long for a minimum wage to set in? But it's real quick for those in public office to increase their salaries and wages. That's what they will say.
That's what they'll say, but that's not entirely true.
Indeed, but again, when things like that happen, what goes on the other side? These are some of the things that should be weighed as decisions are made, especially when it has to increment those salaries for anybody as far as they're serving this nation and they are all paying taxes. That's my two comments.
And I think it's just important to reiterate and to emphasize the call that IO has already made to the NFIU, especially looking at what is on the front page of Daily Trust this morning, all saying that the NFIU is disowning the documents. We need clarity and we need more transparency in terms, the NFIU is there to ensure that, there are no backdoor dealings and to reduce will I say black money or dark money circulating within not just the Nigerian economy, but also from Nigeria to the outside world, because we know that they also get a lot of external cooperation. What we're hoping to see is that when eventually these revelations are made, that they're done in a very transparent manner, that Nigerians are aware of the work that they're doing. We shouldn't be hearing or seeing documents leaked and then, there's no clarity. When we reach out to the NFIU, we're not sure yet. People are angling and they're, waiting to see if indeed the Nigerian government, as it has promised that it would several times, will eventually release the list of those who are behind some of our security woes in this country. It is very important. And what it also does is that it instills confidence in the people of Nigeria, in the ability and the intention of its security agencies to be able to wrestle down terrorism.
Indeed. And at this point in time, we would say that's a look. That's how we end the look at some of the dailies.
We're not supposed to go to Twitter. We're supposed to go.